Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the CTE Companion. Today, we will be previewing rather UFC Fight Night Moicano versus Duncan coming up. Um, I would say this weekend. It will be this weekend when this gets recorded, but I am actually recording this in a week or a week in advance. So, if you've ever seen one of my videos, normally I like to just give thanks for everything that's happened recently. The channel's been doing better than I expected. Currently we're at 13 subscribers. I set a goal for 10 subscribers by the end of April, and it's March 26th as I'm recording this, and we are at 13 subscribers. So I would love to give the proper thanks to everyone who has subscribed and whatnot. But it would feel very presumptive to say thank you so much for all the recent subscribers since the last video, when this will probably come out 3 videos from now, or well, actually probably 2 videos from now. So I don't really want to be presumptive. I'm not Ilya Taporia. I'm not about to say that I'm double champion in my bio before the fight even happens. I'm not that kind of person. So uh yeah, if unfortunately I won't. This is very long-winded. No one wants to hear it. So yeah, but thank you to everyone who watches and has subscribed. And let's get into it. Starting off with the early prelim opener of Dione Barbosa versus Melissa Gatto. Dione Barbosa is a -150 favorite. Melissa Gatto a +188 underdog. I was very impressed by Dion's just all around skills, to be honest with you. She's an Olympic judoka. I'm not sure she actually competed, but she made the Olympic team for Brazil in judo. She's good on the feet. She has good takedowns. Her BJJ and her clinch work both look very good. Gatto, on the other hand, is big and awkward. In her last fight, which was a while ago, I think she's a 2-year layoff. I watched her throw no less than 15 like jabs to the body followed by the cross upstairs, but kind of at the same time somehow. She's very slow and awkward. Dione just looked a lot more technically proficient on the feet. I think that Gatto did a good job of implementing her grappling versus Vidal in her last fight, but Vidal is not on the same level as Karine Silva, who was Dion's last opponent. And being a Olympic judoka, I don't think that Melissa's going to be able to implement her grappling. So I see Dione getting this one done on the feet. And before we move on, real quick, these prelims, this whole card is not very good. I love to be positive, but it's really hard when the combined records of the fighters on this prelims are 18 and 31. They have like a 33% win rate. I know it's not actually. Probably like a a low 40% win rate. But there is just no star power on this. I was very impressed by Dione Barbosa. She's one of the 2 people who I'm looking forward to watching this week. Or well, on this card. She's one of the few people whose careers I will try my best to follow. Yeah, next up, Azamat Bakoev versus Tresean Gore. Azamat Bakoev is the biggest favorite on this prelim, and I think this whole card, like, I don't know who else on the main card. Probably the biggest favorite on this entire card. He's taking on Tresean Gore. Azamat Bakoev is a -530 favorite. Tresean Gore a +360 underdog. In the words of the legendary Anthony Smith, Azamat Bakoev is a dual threat, wrestler and on the feet. He's got big power. He's very tough. He kind of got fucked up by Belguri, but Belguri is nasty. He fought what will be last weekend as of this video being uploaded, but is this weekend coming up for me recording. So I'm not exactly sure what Belguri did. He's fighting Mansour Abdul Malik. That's going to be a great fight, or was a great fight, hopefully. But yeah, Tresean Gore is nowhere near that level. He's 2-4 in the UFC. Obviously, he was on The Ultimate Fighter. He looked really good. He made it all the way to the finals and then lost to Brian Battle in the final of that Ultimate Fighter season. And he's now 2-4 in the UFC. He's not living up to the hype. I really had high hopes for him. I like him very much. You know, you watch the Ultimate Fight, these guys on the Ultimate Fighter, and you get invested into him. I hate to see the way he's turned out, but he lost to Cody Brundage, so that kind of says a lot about where you are in your career if you're losing to Cody Brundage. No disrespect. I mean, whatever. Azamat I have him winning by knockout. Next up, we have Alice Pereira, not not Alex Pereira's sister, who is Aline Pereira. This is Alice Pereira versus Haley Cohen. Aline Pereira, Alex's sister, is fighting on that MVP card coming up later in this year. But yes, Alice Pereira is the kickboxer. She's 20 years old. 0-1 in the UFC, lost her debut. Haley Cohen is 0-2. These are the 30th and 29th out of 30 ranked women's bantamweight on Tapology. These are the lowest rated bantamweights that they have. I think Alice Pereira might just be a little bit too young for the UFC. I kind of think that she should probably not be in the UFC, should leave, go have some regional fights, go to the PFL for a little bit, come back in 3 years, learn how to grapple, get some good medium level experience. It's too much too soon. You're gonna be getting extra banged up in these fights. You should be getting these rounds in. I'm talking like it's boxing where you should probably have where you should just try and fight as much as possible. That's kind of my philosophy. I think she should be out here in the PFL, out here on the regional scenes, fighting people who are progressively better and better. I think this is a little bit too big of a little bit too much too soon, and I look forward to her career, but I think that as for a long-term strategy, having her in the UFC it's just a little bit too soon, and I think it might stunt her overall development. With that being said, Haley Cohen is the 30th of 30 in women's bantamweight. She lost to Hendon, who got smoked by Bia Mesquita. Bia Mesquita's really good. And this is Haley's third fight in as many years. She's a pretty good grappler. She was landing some takedowns against Hendon, and I think that she's just gonna hold her up against the cage or take her down and win a boring 29-28 decision. I'm taking. Oh, and as for the odds, it's a pick 'em at -113 for both of them. I think that Haley gets this one by a boring grappling based decision. Next up, we have Lando Venata making his long-awaited return. He has been off for 3 years, fighting Darius Flowers. Lando Venata, a -245 favorite. Darius Flowers, a +186 underdog. Lando Venata, obviously, a long time ago, had that fight with Tony Ferguson, had a couple other high-level fights. Darius Flowers is a karate guy. I think he's like 0-3 in the UFC or something. He's also been submitted 6 times in his professional career, so I think that Lando Venata gets this one done by submission. After that, we have Alessandro Costa versus Stuart Nickel. Alessandro Costa, a -440 favorite. Stuart Nickel, a -310 underdog. These are two primarily grapplers. Costa is a little bit slow and plotty with a high guard, just looking for counter shots. Stuart Nickel also seemed to be looking for counter shots. Costa has lost to pretty good fighters, actually. Steve Erceg and Amir Albazi, and Alden Correa seems to be pretty good. He won his next fight after that. That was who he lost to in his most recent fight. He is a good grappler, and he does have a lot of ground and pound finishes and subs. I feel like he's a better striker than Stuart Nickel as well. I think he can get it done either way. But I also think this might be a little bit boring because they seem to both be counter strikers, and when you get two counter strikers, neither of them want to engage, and it ends up just being a little bit of a snooze fest. But I will take Alessandro Costa by ground and pound TKO in the second or third round. Following that, we have Jose Delano versus Robert Rachula. Jose Delano is maybe my new favorite fighter. I watched his Contender Series fight. He looked absolutely amazing. He was so well-rounded. He was switching stances. He was using all the aspects of Muay Thai, the punches, the knees, the elbows, the kicks. He was switching stances, as I've already said 3 times. He was also using good jiu-jitsu and switch and counter grappling on the ground when he was being taken down. He beat the absolute heck out of the last guy that he fought on the Contender Series. This is his UFC debut. Just watching that fight, that Contender Series fight, made me a massive fan of him. I am so looking forward to his fight. He's a minus 430 favorite. Robert Rachula is a plus 300 underdog. I'm not sure if I said that. Rachula is a 2-time former interim KSW champion, but I just don't think he's anywhere near the level of Jose Delano. I am going to take Jose Delano by knockout. And in the main event of this prelim, we have Guillermo Pat versus Thomas Peterson. Guillermo Pat is a minus 136 favorite. Thomas Peterson a plus 106 underdog. Pat is a very good boxer. He has good head movement, good counters. He was absolutely piecing up his last opponent, who I am currently forgetting. He moves his head very well. He was even switching stances in the middle of his combinations, so not something you see a lot at heavyweight. Thomas Peterson is more of a grappler. He just got knocked out by Vitor Petrino in his last fight. I think that Guillermo Pat is going to knock him out in the second round. I could see him maybe holding off, like Guillermo Pat, kind of piecing up Peterson for the first 2 minutes on the feet while they feel each other out. Peterson might steal the round by getting a takedown and landing some ground and pound, get some confidence, and then get slimed out cold. And that is the main event of our prelims. Opening up the main card, we have Tommy McMillan versus Manolo Cecchini. I'm going to talk about this Tommy McMillan fight and this Abdul Rahman Yakiev fight together because A, I think they're the same thing, and B, I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence and act like these are real fights. Just to touch on this McMillan one, McMillan is from Red Hawk Academy. Tim Welsh is his coach. He's undefeated, making his UFC debut. Manolo Cecchini is 0-1 in the UFC, lost to Morgan Charrier 2.5 years ago, so not exactly the toughest competition. I wonder who the UFC wants to win with this one. Tommy McMillan is 9-0, 3 KOs, 5 subs, all in the first round. His Contender Series fight was pretty back and forth. He showed pretty bad striking defense in the first round. He was rocked all over the place. The guy was taking him down. He won by majority decision. One judge had it 10-8 in the first round. I don't blame him. That was a very borderline 10-8. I think the only thing that stopped it from being solidified is the guy was chasing subs for 1.5 minutes and not doing damage, which I think should actually contribute to 10-8, not take away from it, because there were some sequences that were very close to finishing the fight. Tommy McMillan is a good grappler. He showed great toughness, great durability. Came back in that fight. I have him winning by knockout. And as for this Abdul Rahman Yakiev fight, Princeton Ribeiro has been knocked out twice in a row in the first round, and Yakiev has 6 first-round finishes, so I wonder what they think is going to happen. His Contender Series fight and his UFC debut were both 30-second finishes. His UFC debut, he head-kicked the guy, rocked him real bad, followed up with some strikes up against the fence, like wobbled him back to the fence, held him up against the cage, landed some ground and pound, took the back, rear naked choke. He's had about 1.5 minutes, literally under 1.5 minutes cage time in the UFC in his last 2 fights. Both these guys are over minus 1,000 favorites, so, let's not pretend like these are real fights. Moving on, we have Rafael Asim versus Ethan Ewing. Rafael Asim moving up from flyweight up to bantamweight after missing weight twice in his last 3 fights. He's 3-0 in the UFC against good comp. Charles Johnson, Felipe Boons, and Jesus Aguilar, maybe. Very, decent competition. He is a very good grappler. He's undefeated at something like 14-0. Quite a few submissions, and a few ground and pound finishes as well. Ethan Ewing, obviously surprise of last year, coming off that win against Malcolm Wellmaker. Looked really good in that show. Great boxing defense, great grit, great toughness, great determination. He had just fought 2 weeks prior. That one was up at 145, so they weren't cutting weight. This is at his natural weight class of bantamweight, and Rafael is moving up. I think that's why he is the underdog, but I haven't seen Ethan Ewing grapple, if I'm being honest with you. I don't remember any really great grappling moments from that fight. Everyone kind of thought he was going to be sacrificed to Malcolm Wellmaker, but that was predominantly or 100% a striking fight. I didn't go back and watch it. I'm kind of forgetting, just because I kind of didn't see how it was really relevant to this fight. It's a very, very, very different fight than a Rafael SVM, who is, again, a grappler. So I'm going to take SVM just because I don't know if Ethan Ewing's grappling is there. Maybe I will look like an idiot and be totally wrong, and he has some regional scene fights where he's fought some grapplers and showed off great takedown defense and great submission defense. But if he has, I missed it. So I'm just going to take SVM by decision. I'll take SVM by decision. And in the co-main event of the evening, Virna Jandiroba versus Tabitha Ricci. Virna Jandiroba, minus 106 underdog. Tabitha Ricci, a minus 120 favorite. I really think that the UFC wants this Tabitha Ricci, Callum Walsh, Zuffa power couple thing where he's the Zuffa boxing champion and she's the UFC champion. They're totally in love with this Callum Walsh guy. He was their first signing to boxing way before they had Zuffa boxing. I don't see it. I've watched some of his fights. He's not all that entertaining. He's a good, solid, well-rounded boxer. I don't know if he's just the only person who would assign to them. I've never seen anything crazy entertaining. I saw these two on a podcast together talking about they're spending their win bonuses on some goats for their farm. I don't know. I don't see why, like I said, that this is the people that they choose to push. But it is. So I think that's why she's the favorite. She has a worse record against the same competition. Jandiroba, she beat Xiaonan. Tabitha Ricci lost to her. That was like 4 or 5 months apart. Now, so it's not like 1 in 2020 and 1 lost in 2025, and there's some big improvement. That was literally Xiaonan's 2 fights in a row. Yeah, I think the only thing that Tabitha Ricci has going for her is that Virna is now 37 and she's quite a bit younger. Jandiroba is coming off that title fight against Mackenzie Dern. I missed most of it, but it looked like it was an absolute war when I tuned into it. They seemed to be pretty bloodied up and going pretty hard towards the end of it. Looked like it was a good fight. Yeah, I'm going to go with Jandiroba, though, because, like I said, I think Tabitha's a little bit overrated and getting a push that isn't exactly on par with her skills. And in the main event of the evening, we have Renato Moicano versus Chris Duncan. Chris Duncan coming off that submission of Terrence McKinney. He's 8-1 in the UFC. Moicano's coming off 2 losses to Islam, and then there was one after that I have it pulled up. Sorry. Yeah, Beneil Dariush. Oh my God, that was a terrible fight. I thought he won that. Yeah, that was one of the fights. Anyways, Chris Duncan versus Renato Moicano. Moicano's been known to pull off a crafty upset. You know, he did it to Benoit Saint Denis. Chris Duncan never fought really the wrestler or grappler the level of Moicano, so it's kind of hard to tell. McKinney is a good grappler, but, that fight was just balls to the wall, absolutely insane. Duncan is tough. He is well-rounded. He does have quite a few submissions, quite a few knockouts. I think that if I pick Moicano and then he just does what he normally does and looks terrible and he loses, I'm going to feel really stupid about that. So I'm going to take Chris Duncan because I would I honestly think he's gonna win, and I would feel less stupid if he loses and I picked him. I think that he's gonna I don't think he finishes Moicano. I think that he beats Moicano by decision. Moicano is tough. He has the grappling ability to survive. If he gets dropped, he can use his ground game to survive any finishing sequences. I don't think that Duncan's gonna nuke him out on the feet. I know. Did Dariush drop him? I think Dariush dropped him pretty bad with a big overhand. I know Dariush got dropped as well. That fight was kind of. You know what? Yeah, I'm taking Duncan because that fight was. Now that I'm thinking about it, that was not a good fight, and I think that if Chris Duncan was in that fight, he smokes both of them. So I'm gonna take Chris Duncan, especially because it's over 5 rounds. I think that he's gonna be able to maintain the pace and just beat Moicano by decision. Yeah. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you liked it. And as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.